Welcome to Job Tales, the show where we find out about various professions from around the world. Each week I speak to a new guest with a very interesting job. I'm Laura Leoncini and today my guest is Maxime Frechet, personal trainer at the Harmony Fitness Club in Geneva. Maxime, welcome to the show. I'm happy to listen to your experience. Now, it's very interesting what you do because it's very physical and it's very social too. I'm sure it's going to be very appealing to our young listeners today. Can you tell me how you chose your job?
So yeah, Laura, thanks so much. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So let's say my journey is a little bit tricky because I started with science back in the days. I studied at the University of Sorbonne, UPMC in Paris, and I always loved biology. So I did a bachelor of biology and then a master of physiology and so on, specialization in pathophysiology. And then
Okay.
it all started by I was doing clinical science, and I was working on those mouse models. And let me tell you, it was not all sunshine and rainbows, like some people
Okay.
think, because I'm thinking about a lot of in vivo injection and sacrifices involved.
Yeah.
So it's not the most glamorous work. It's very satisfying intellectually, but at that time I didn't had a lot of contact with the patient, and so I was creating a lot of suffering. It was a bit hard on me, be heavy on me.
Okay.
And on top of that, the thing was, I was every single day I would be sitting at my desk doing my experiments and so on, and all I could think was was to hit the gym.
Oh,
So
yeah?
it was like a
Okay.
hitch. I just couldn't scratch, and I was so eager every day to finish the work and go train martial art and go to the gym and so on. And so at one point I was like, you know what, why not combine these two passions of mine, human physiology and then sports, and then why not, and make that happen overseas? That would be fantastic.
So can you just tell me what is physiology? Just describe physiology.
The human physiology is basically the study of the human function, if I would put it basically, right? So
Okay.
you got the biology, which could be, human biology, and it could be animal biology and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go to human specialty, is all the function of the human body, and pathophysiology is when things go wrong. So
Yeah,
you study
okay.
what happens when things go wrong, basically, right?
Understand the
Yeah,
sickness of the, yeah. Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So it was, you were really looking forward to being in the gym, doing sports.
Mm.
And so what happened then? Like, how did you then happen to become a coach?
Yeah, so it was I was at that point, and then I was also very eager to see the world and experience different cultures. I really had that calling. And it all started because when I was 16, I had the chance to go for an exchange program in Australia. So I could go there 6 weeks, and my exchange guy would come 6 weeks, and it would just transform me at that time. I really grew a lot. So I always wanted to
Uh,
go back. So I was, you know what? Let's go, let's take the plunge and move to Australia. And I know they were very ahead of the game in terms of fitness, especially. And then
oh,
it's
yeah.
an English speaking country, and then it's filled with days of blue sky and white sandy beaches, So all together, I was like, let's do this. And so then I went there and I became a coach in Australia, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
You studied coaching in Australia?
Yeah, exactly. Fitness in
Okay.
Australia.
Fitness. And then
Mhm.
what do you need to do? Like, is it a couple of years
Yeah, it's
study or?
like basically there is different length of it. So for me, I could do it in a year and a half because I had all the background of physiology, and but you have longer studies that can take you up to several years. And
Okay.
you can also go into sports science, which is going to be another path as well. So there's
Yeah.
different path to get into that field of sports and fitness. But let's say if you're a personal trainer or you want to be a fitness coach, a proper education will take you several years.
Okay. Okay. I see. And you knew that you wanted to be a personal trainer
So I knew I wanted to go into sports, yeah.
into sports.
And it's
Okay.
like Australia was the perfect place to do that. There's a lot of, they were really ahead of the game.
Mm.
Even now, that's a very different. Fitness is part of the culture in these countries like New Zealand as well. So that's how it all started.
Yes. So your experience in Australia for 6 months, no, 6 weeks was really at when you were 16.
Mm,
Was really what pivoted thanks to that experience. And I know that it's addictive because once you start traveling, it's
mm,
then you don't want to stop anymore. And but this propelled you to become a coach.
mm.
And how many years did you stay in Australia coaching?
So I think that's where it started, and then it got very interesting because over the last 12 years, I lived and worked in different countries, and it's like the job opportunities also that I had that just
Mm.
made me travel. But I spent 2 years in Australia, and then I spent 2 years in Germany, and I spent 2 years in New Zealand, and then I went to India and Indonesia. But it's mostly like the work opportunity that also motivated me to do that. So, but yeah, 2 years in Australia to start.
Okay. And then were you able to do the same job in the other countries?
Yeah, exactly. I built my career into fitness in different countries, and that was fantastic, honestly.
Yeah. Did you
Mhm.
decide the country you were going to go and then look for a job, or was an opportunity there?
So both, I had some contact, and some people reached out to me as well, and it's like also some personal factors played a role.
Okay.
But like this, I could travel, and because I really wanted to experience different culture and develop some sort of global outlook, it became quite an interest to me. And
Okay.
so, but I stayed in that hole. I developed my career as well, throughout those different experiences.
Yeah. And how did you get your first job? Did you knock at the door of every fitness club in Australia and then someone opened or?
So yeah, that's a good. It's actually pretty well, very much like this. Yeah, there's
Okay.
a lot of contact, and I just went there, and I got straight to. It was fitness first at the time in Australia, and
Mm.
I was in Brisbane, so we were already in contact with different people, and I was working there, working out there and there, and trying different gyms, and so I basically, went there and then brought my CV, asked for the club manager, and then just gently asked.
Gently ask. Okay.
and then that's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty
Super. Yeah.
straightforward. Yeah.
Do you know if are there any prerequisites? Like, do you actually need to be very sporty in order to be a coach? Like, is it a must, or maybe is that a myth about about your job?
I mean, you need like okay, that would be my take on it. Like you need certification and studies, that is for sure, because it's now maybe like a decade ago you could become a personal trainer with just a couple of like online things,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
this has created a flow in that industry. But now it's
Mm.
less and less like this, and you really need a certification and studies, because especially when you are a fitness coach, a general fitness coach, or general personal trainer, when you're a sports coach, it's much more specific. And so, but when you're like a general fitness trainer, your audience is going to be very wide, and a lot of different people with a lot of different mindset, a lot of different behavior, a lot of different so you need to be able to have the certification and studies for, let's say, the skill as a trainer, but
Mm.
you need to also like a lot the human contact and social interaction, and to develop yourself as an individual, because if you know how to teach an exercise but you have no knowledge of nutrition, of physiology, of psychology, of behavior patterns, it
Yeah.
will become a hindrance as you work. And you need to be able to respond to no matter who comes to you, who come to you, if it's like an elderly, a young woman, what I mean, a 40 years old amateur, or like a sports person that is very into sports and have very specific needs. You need to be able to respond
Mm. In
accordingly.
different ways.
Yes,
Yeah.
in different ways. And
Mm.
that is where I think being a fitness coach is one of the most difficult jobs. It looks quite simple on the paper, but as you work and throughout the years, you understand that the depth of it, and you need to do a lot of work on yourself. You develop a lot of soft skills to be able to
Mm.
respond to that wide audience and able to deliver.
Yeah, actually, you bring me to the next question about skills. Yeah, tell me a few of the soft skills that are required.
So it's kind of like this. The education, like I said, it's kind of mandatory for sure. But then on top of the technical knowledge, on sports science and anatomy and things like this. You need to learn about nutrition, human physiology. Probably some NLP will help you as well. And as a person as well, this is a job when you need to respond. So some people, it's very integrated. Maybe they have someone has a hard day, comes with a lot of emotions. You need to deliver. Then you change. Then someone else comes, very different emotions, very different psychology. You need to be able to respond, and that means that you need to develop yourself in a way that you have some sort of anchor within you. You can stay grounded, and otherwise you will really bounce from one side to the other, start to do the yo-yo, and it will drain you out. So once again, I think it's that ability to respond to situation that you need to, and for that, you need yourself to become grounded. And this is one of the most difficult things you do. When you do that every week for a decade, for example, or many years, so we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that later. But that question of balance is very important in this work, in this job.
I see. And now you were talking about sport coaching. It would be like a specific sport and then becoming a trainer basically of an athlete?
Yeah, for example, you can do like a bachelor in sports science, and then after work in a sports center with specific activities, maybe become like a strength and conditioning coach. And
Okay.
when you do so, the job is, you go in a like a big sports club, for example, you're going to have a strength and conditioning coach, a sports coach, a nutrition coach, and so on and so forth. So you're here to deliver a very specific result. You get down to numbers, you do the rep max and calculate the stats and the percentages, and then you develop like a mesocycle programming for athletes, and it really gets down to just bam bam bam, do it like this and looking for performance. But there's the other part of psychology or nutrition or whatever, or like what happening today at your work and within your family, and all this is just not there. You don't have to care about this because it's not your job. You're here to deliver and have the athlete achieve higher performances, right, throughout what you do.
Right.
So very different ways of working here.
And what made you choose one over the other?
I think even when I started sports, it's like I still remember the flash I had. I saw myself, because I was going at the gym back in the days, and I saw myself working with a lot of different people, and how it's really enriching, because if you spend a couple of weeks of couple of years working with someone, the transformation usually echoes in so many aspects of that person's life, and everybody is different, comes with all their knowledge. It's so I saw myself in a way in a situation when I could meet a lot of different type of people, and so naturally I've been drawn to fitness also because I was doing fitness myself and I used to like it. So that would be it.
That will be it. Huh? And
Yeah.
if you if you can think of any myth around your job, something like a metropolitan legend.
Yeah, sometime, I mean, I'm not sure if now there's too much myth about fitness or personal training, but sometime you could hear back in the days that fitness is only for, or personal training is only for one specific type of person.
Yeah.
But actually that's, like personal training is only for athletes or young people, for example. But that's kind of a myth. I mean, it's personal training. So by the name, personal means specific and tailored, on your own needs. So everybody can benefit, all ages, all sex, no matter where you come from, everybody can benefit because it's really tailored on your own needs.
Yeah, and also it's really good for your, work-life balance and mental
Mm,
balance, and
mm,
it does help really to not only being in shape, but really then feel good about it and having a motivation because you have your trainer that
mm, mm.
is pushing you and that you're paying as well.
Yeah,
it's got
that's a,
it's got that monetary motivation as well. It's like I
that's
gotta do
true.
it now. Yeah,
It helps for to integrate it, huh?
yeah,
When you have
yeah,
an
exactly.
appointment. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And now,
exactly.
as a personal trainer, do you have to be bound to a one specific site? Like now you're working at Harmony in
Mm,
Geneva, right?
mm.
Would you be able to work in other Harmony clubs, for example, or online, or is it really would it be better to be physically based somewhere for you?
This especially the COVID, but even before, you can be a personal training in a lot of different ways, right? You can be
Mm-hmm.
and that's also an aspect of the job that people who are interested of becoming a personal trainer should think about, and maybe get information on and try to discover, because you can be employee in a job, you can be freelancer, you can be a self-employed and having your own business.
Yeah.
So for me, I've been through all those scenarios, and it's like a very different way of organizing yourself. Right now with Harmony, I'm employee with them, so I work in one club, but I can work in another club as well.
Okay.
I personally myself like to be based in mostly in one environment. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Also because with time I start to understand and meet a lot of people who come and train at the gym, and this
Okay.
creates a very nice atmosphere. You see some
Mm.
people go through different phases, and you can have let's say, like an impact at some
Yeah.
moment. They will do a program, they will train. Maybe sometime they can see some high, you can see some lows, and when you can be there and with the right timing have a great
There's a
impact.
special bond, yeah,
Yeah,
also
exactly.
that creates, yeah.
Exactly.
There, there's a lot of advantages having, especially after COVID, of having
Mm-mm.
online work. But there's true
Yeah.
that the some feelings and some messages pass better when they're when there's physical presence,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
great to be able to do online. Like for example, in Harmony, they had like a Harmony at Home. They had a program when people could get classes and have access to classes
Mm,
from their own house, and that definitely is a great thing to do, especially in our time and age. You need to be able to have access to this.
yeah, have
But for sure, like for
flexibility.
me
Yeah,
as a trainer, I always love the personal contact. There is
yeah.
something that goes through when you're with the person. There is some energy. There is some, and that
Mm,
kind of flow during the session. You need to be really able to absorb things, and maybe sometimes slow down the intensity, and or increase a
mm.
bit, and all these little things that you don't see. But if you spend some time working with someone, little by little, you understand that person deeper. You recognize patterns, you recognize a lot of different things, words that they say at some time in during the effort. You recognize, facial, a lot of things. So it becomes very interesting to, as a trainer, to just try to pinpoint that exact right intensity, and then this is where, like, you create an immense result, because no matter if you have a low day or high day, if you are a trainer, you can spend enough time and just understand that person. You're always being gonna be able to put them at the right intensity, or getting close, sometimes a bit less, sometimes a bit more. But it's become very, very satisfying when someone comes with, for example, a very low motivation, had a hard day, tough day at the job, and maybe, like, also with, like, colleagues or something like this, or something at
Yeah,
home,
and you
and
went
they really
out
drained
and
out,
yeah,
and then they finish the session and they are completely
so much
transformed,
better. Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
I
like,
totally agree.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
And for me, it's
Yes.
one of my favorite part of the day. It could be for one session, but it could be over years of training with someone. Like, I feel like I can
Mm.
spend my time and my effort
Mhm.
and have a positive impact in my life. If I, at the end of the day, I feel like this, I'm so satisfied. I can go to sleep with a smile.
Yeah. And now, if you look at some lessons learned, like
Mm,
there are things that for sure when you studied in Australia you didn't know.
yeah.
What is a lesson or two that you've learned over the years?
Okay, so that's a big that's a big question. Like, there could be a lot of things, but if I want to say, like, one, I think, if I think about young people who want to start in personal training, or anybody, whatever, young or not, because I've seen 70 plus being a coach. So I would say that, like, the diversity of your experiences will teach you your limits, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
about a lot of things. But this work as a trainer is not about overperforming. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's more about sustainability, because every energy demanding job means, like, it has the possibility to drain you out. So you want sustainable performance.
Yeah.
If you can be at 70% every day, every week, every year, you're overperforming on the long run.
You're
And
performing. Wow.
yeah,
Just yeah, and it's not 100%.
no, it's not 100%. You cannot be
Mm.
100%. You will crash.
You crash.
So
Mm.
it's like, it's like the diversity of the experience you're gonna have maybe you can sometime, that's why I encourage people to have a wide diversity of experiences, even within their own career, different places, different job, different style of working, different hours, because all this will teach you what you can do, what you cannot do, but especially what you can do for a long time and being good in it, feeling,
Mm-mm.
and that's, in this job, that's something I would really lesson that I learned very hard. I learned, for example, when I was in Germany, had my own practice and my own business, and I was also working freelancer for another company. And I ended up doing working like Monday to Saturday, you know, 40 plus easy hours of personal training, and
Wow.
it crashed. It
You were,
was, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I think through experience, you realize and you got to learn what you can do as well and what you can do on the long run and how you
Yeah.
can. And this is very, very important, I would say, in that job.
Oh, that's very good advice as well. Yeah,
Mm.
for the young people listening, and more advice that you have for the young people.
Concerning the job itself, yeah, don't underestimate like soft skill.
The soft skill
Soft skill,
part.
yeah, the soft skill parts always come back in it, because sometimes we get in the job and then we end up like having some a client and make building a program and then teach it, and then to teach different ways, different exercise and thing like this. I would say the soft skill will always keep you humble, because
Mm.
when you start to do a thing and you keep learning and you become, I mean, what can happen is like you close yourself a little bit, and more you rely on what you think is right or what you think is true, and a bit your belief, like, okay, to get this you need to do that, to get this you need to do that. This person has this knee problem, she needs to do that, and so on and so forth. And this is like two sides of the coin, you know what I mean? Because you see a lot of example that reinforce that belief, but you will meet from time to time people that are outside that
Mm.
it doesn't work for them, and
Yeah.
you will mess up in that
Mm.
situation.
Yeah.
So soft skill, I would say about this of being a listener more than a teacher. You know what I mean? More
Yeah.
than a trainer.
Yeah.
You're a trainer, but yeah,
Totally.
you know your stuff, but you need to listen. The more you can listen,
Mm.
try it out, see the response, adapt, and so on and so forth, and move on. And it's
Mm.
like, but sometimes you get into the flow, it's again too many hours, too many work, and bam,
Yeah.
bam, bam, you one thing after the next, you don't realize, and maybe that person at that moment, she didn't needed that
Mm.
exercise. That was not
Yeah.
that intensity.
You're almost a psychologist of the body,
It
really.
is. It is. There's a lot of
Right?
psychology in this job. That's why it's great. It's so holistic.
It's a very holistic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you
Mm,
need to also protect yourself.
mm, mm,
Yeah,
mm.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's awesome. I was looking for maybe one last question.
You know the
What future jobs do you see opening in your field? With the technology coming
okay.
in,
Yeah.
is there, any
That's a
perspective?
okay. That's a very interesting question. Okay, if you look at fitness, like couple of decades, yeah, and how things and what happened over the last years. One of the main things I would say in fitness will go through like tremendous changes, I think. And
Mm,
one the big one is the real world integration of fitness into people's life. That's
yeah.
one thing that has been, fitness is kind of aside one other thing on the list. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I'd like to see a future when the fitness industry is moving towards a greater integration of fitness into people's everyday lives, and this will involve like creating like a web of interconnection where fitness is seamlessly woven into people's routine habits. You know what I mean? It's not
Hmm.
just like I exit my job, I go to the fitness, then I go this and that. It
Yeah.
becomes, yeah, and this is really, look, it's already happening in some countries when you have little studio, PT studio, and you go there, you can get your clothes. There is the nutrition is there, the food is there, the co-working space is there, and things starts to merge. Maybe there is also health professional like a physician and a nurse. You can take blood test, and so all this wall starts to melt a little bit, and
Hmm.
fitness uh, gets integrated. It's integrated like, yeah, seamlessly
Yeah.
into people's
Yeah.
habits. So if someone runs a program, like you need to have the ability to see the whole journey and create steps to get there. But the key will be the ability to see the whole fitness journey and break it down into achievable step-by-step actions, and that you can easily incorporate into that person's life, right? So even as a coach, but as the whole industry, you want to look at synergy, multiplicity, leverage point, and you want to apply the same thing. So as a trainer, you develop those skills and kind of wisdom like throughout the years. But I would love to see that more and more. And I think it will happen more and more, especially with AI. It's a lot of different technology when fitness is not as separated from other aspects of your life. And
awesome.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Look forward to that era. Thanks so much. No, I was gonna say thanks so much, Maxime, because I see that the time is running. So I wish we had more time, but it's been great to chat with you, and a lot of very informative information. Informative stuff that you have shared with us. And I wish you all the best in your rest of your career, long career.
Thank you, Laura. It was a real pleasure to talk with you. So I wish you all the best as well. And I hope to see you in Harmony one of these days. We'll have a training together, I promise.
Sounds good. All right. That's a deal. Bye.
Perfect.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Laura. Bye-bye.
That was Maxime Frechet, personal trainer at Harmony in Geneva. You will find more episodes on Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast, as well as any of your favorite players. I'm always looking for new guests, so please send me ideas to jobtalespodcast@gmail.com. Otherwise, see you next week for a new episode of Job Tales.